Hello, everyone. My name is Ivette Linares. Today, we will be talking about depression in low and middle income regions. So, I first of all want to explain what it means to be depressed. Depression is a clinical presentation. A clinical depression is a state of persistent sadness, hopelessness, and lack of interest in daily activities or the future. This means it's not the way that we use this word typically. Being depressed is more than we think it is. So, what it means to be from a low income family, for example, it means that your income level is significantly below the average income of other people within your society. What it means to be middle income means that your income is moderate and it's like below what it would be to be high income, but it's typically the largest group of people in a society because it's the average of people in the society. For high income, the income is significantly higher than the average income of other people within the society. And this is typically the less amount of people that there is. I also put this here that low, middle, and high income definitions vary depending on the country and the region that you're from. This means that what is rich and high income for us here in the US might be middle income for other places in the world, or vice versa. So, I want to talk about, first of all, the clinical presentation of depression. Depression presents mentally, physically, and you can see behaviors from people. In the mental side, you have negative thought patterns, persistent hopelessness, persistent sadness, a feeling of being empty and not being happy, and a feeling of being restless with your situation and what is happening to you. On the physical side, you would see that these people don't sleep, they don't eat well, they have low energy, and because of this, they also weigh less or more than when you last saw them, and they're fatigued all the time. In the behavioral aspect, because they feel so down, they present with social withdrawal, lack of productivity, and the loss of interest to whatever they're doing. They're also very irritable or they lack hygiene because, like I said before, they don't feel like doing this. Depression can lead to suicidal thoughts and actions, so this is something to be definitely taken seriously. So I want to talk about geographical depression. I think that this is something that we don't typically think about. The area that you live in impacts your mental health. Whatever your surrounding is impacts your mental health. This is true within a country or in comparison to other countries. People living in low income or economically disadvantaged areas often experience financial stress, job insecurity, unemployment, and poor living conditions that could push them to become depressed. There's also a limited access to healthcare and mental health services. And geographically, low income regions show that they often suffer from a lack of medical infrastructure and limited availability of mental health services. So even if they want to go and get help, they most likely cannot do that. In poor regions, there may also be a greater stigma associated with mental health issues. People might be less likely to seek help for depression due to cultural differences. Depression, like I said before, is highly misused in our society. To be depressed is more than just feeling sad for a day. There are people that struggle with depression for days on end, and this is something to take into account. So, geographical depression, you can see it. I found some examples here. In the sub Saharan Africa, you can see that the economic hardship, high unemployment, and the consequences of infectious diseases such as HIV and AIDS can lead these people to become depressed. Also, in South Asia, like in India, Bangladesh, and Nepal, a significant portion of the population lives below the poverty line, facing challenges such as gender inequality, caste discrimination, because this is seen in these societies, and limited access to healthcare. In Latin America, where I'm from, there's economic instability drug abuse, and gun violence are just a few of the social stresses that people in this community face. And this is something that I experienced myself coming from Cuba, that the economic instability that the country has leads you to think about things that you usually wouldn't think about. It leads you to become depressed of your state, of your future, or maybe if you're a parent, what you have to put on the table for food, as a student, what you want to study. So it's very important to not misjudge the fact that where you're from can lead you to become a certain person, because you might get depressed just because of the situation around you. Also, in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, after the Soviet Union broke up, several nations in areas like Eastern Europe had economic difficulties that increased unemployment, poverty, and inequality. And I want to highlight this is also not only in Eastern Europe, this also happened in my country, in Cuba, after the Soviet Union broke up. Um, we saw a change in our economy as well, which led to people to experience this type of depression. So why is this topic that I'm talking about important? The thing is that there is 75% of people with mental health disorders in low and middle income regions that do not receive treatment because, like I said before, they do not have it in their hands to seek this treatment. They don't have the options sometimes. There is 274 million people worldwide that are affected by depression, according to the World Health Organization. Depression and anxiety disorders cost the global economy more than 1 trillion each year due to the lost productivity of workplace absenteeism. Also, I want to say that me talking about this can bring awareness and help break that stigma that depression is something that we shouldn't talk about. Not only depression, but any type of mental health disorders. So, the scale and impact. There is a big economic burden because people simply don't want to work when they feel this down, and it's understandable. There is a lot of social and familial impact. Like someone that is depressed can literally break up a family, and there is limited access to treatment, like I said before. And this chart over here, you can see the regions of the world where the percentage of people depressed go from less to more. So the risk factors of depression in general, I feel like we kind of understand. So I wanted to focus on the risk factors of this geographical depression that I'm talking about. And this comes with financial stress, limited access to healthcare, unemployment, job insecurity, poor quality of life, and generational poverty. This is so important because sometimes where you're from, you don't have a choice. People, your parents, your grandparents were from a certain part of the country or from a certain country itself that did not have the same opportunities that someone else had. So these are all risk factors that could lead to depression. Some of the strategies that I could think of to solve this is to overall give more access to healthcare, mental health, community healthcare workers, integration of mental health into primary healthcare, which is very important. Community-based approaches and peer support, public awareness, like we're doing right now, campaigns. There's also school and workplace mental health programs and international partnerships and funding, because we have to work together to fight any type of mental health illnesses. And other countries that are doing better off could help relieve some of the risk factors that we talked about before. Could help offer jobs, could help financially, could help in ways that they might think is not enough, but it makes a huge difference for the people living in a certain area. So in my personal experience with depression, I highlighted that sometimes as a student, as an immigrant student, we face financial insecurity because we are on this country for the first time. We don't know what we're doing. There's also sometimes they fail to pay for tuition fees in school, which gives you a lot of stress, which has led to depression. And I also noticed that the more financial uh, wellness that I have, the better my living conditions are. And there's an improvement in overall mental health as financial independency started. And also there's an improvement in interpersonal relationships, because when you're financially independent and you don't have to worry about money, then it becomes the background. You don't have to constantly think about it. So it took away that depression and that anxiety that I had about this issue. So these are all my references. And I want to say thank you. And also I wanted to include the suicide hotline, at least for the US. I wish I knew all of them. But yeah, I wanted to show this, that there is help available out there that you can always call the 24 hours. So thank you. Bye bye.